Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Kevin with Optimized Essentials. In today's video, we're going to be discussing COVID-19 and constipation. Now, the reason why I felt inspired to make this video was, I'm going to admit, recently with the whole COVID-19 situation, I had some pooping troubles, and I came to the realization that I might not be the only one, and I'll explain shortly why if you watch the rest of this video, because it has a lot to do with the mental emotional state of the collective. All right, now a lot of the stuff I'm going to be sharing with you today is going to have an interlay with more of the energetic side of it. Some people might be instantly triggered or repelled when I talk about the chakra systems, but hear me out, guys. I want to discuss something through my realizations, through my observations and my experience that I think you would really enjoy to listen, because the last thing you want is to be stuck inside while we're in lockdown without any toilet paper. But wait, joke's on you, because you can't even poop, so there's nothing to wipe. Huh. But anyhow, the reason why I'm creating this video is to, one, educate us all on the effects of our mental emotional state and how it affects our behavior and how that creates behaviors that lead to constipation. So no, I'm not saying that the virus itself causes constipation, because I don't know that, and it hasn't been proven or shown on the news. But what it does is, with the pandemic, the epidemic, with the virus going around that people are afraid to catch, they are in a lowered state of consciousness that creates a lot of fear and behaviors associated to the root chakra, which I'll explain later, that will cause you to excessively consume and hoard and indulge in behaviors that will lead to constipation. Because I'm not gonna lie, during that time, it was last week, it's definitely calmed down for sure, and maybe for now. But what I realized during that time, even though I wasn't participating in the whole, oh, I'm gonna catch the virus, right? The only time I was worried was when I was with my family and they were giving me a lot of fear, right? But when I was by myself and I was disconnected with the world, I honestly had no problem contracting the virus or believing that it's real and whatnot. You know, more on that later, but I was pretty tuned out to the virus. But what I'm trying to say is, even with the mindset that, you know, I can overcome the virus if I do get it, I still had the impulses, right? I felt the collective consciousness, you know, pointing fingers, right? Putting blame. But, you know, if you study the Global Consciousness Project, the idea that we're all connected somehow, there was a time during the week, it was last week, so today is March 26th, last week, so probably within March 15th or so, around that area, plus or minus a few days, I felt the vibrations of the world. Maybe it was just me, but it was it was at the lowest point, meaning fear was in the air, literally. Fear was in the air. The streets were dim and empty. Now cars are still driving around, or there's more cars driving around. People are climbing out of their shells. But it literally felt like we were coming to apocalypse, right? It was empty on the streets. The grocery store, the grocery aisles were empty. Literally, the food was wiped clean. It felt like people were preparing for the apocalypse. But with this sensation rubbing off to me, you know, I've got to say, the dark side won. I felt the intense desire to stimulate myself with excessive food. So I ended up ordering Chipotle and, you know, eating chips and stuff. I don't know if I ate chips, but I remember eating a lot of snacks and eating more than I normally do, all right? And I was just like, what is going on? And I realized it's the state of fear, the imbalance of the root chakra that was a universal problem through the universal fear that everyone has experienced. Just a theory of mine, but I felt it, right? And maybe you guys felt the same, but during that time, because so many people were hoarding resources or wanting to, or was in such a fear state that they began to contract and consume and protect, because the root chakra is associated with security, safety, and survival, okay? So I'm just gonna read it to you right off the bat. I got a bunch of notes here. I don't really wanna cover all of it because, there's a lot to go over and I don't wanna bore you guys, but here we go, okay? So I'm just gonna read this to you. How do you know your root chakra is imbalanced? Well, imbalance in the life force energy in the root chakra can leave us feeling restless or experiencing a lack of energy, which may be expressed as anxiety, worry, panic, depression, frustration, resentment, anger, rage, or having no interest in the world or in our own survival. Now, this is an imbalance in root chakra. This may not have occurred during the COVID, but keep reading. We may also experience symptoms such as being threatened, chronically feel as if we don't belong or fit in, and experience insecurity and low self-esteem. Mental signs is poor focus, disorganized, pessimism, negative thinking about life, and narrow thinking. And then here's where it gets accurate. The compulsion to overeat or hoard material items and money is a negative expression of our instinct for survival. If we can never get enough food, money, goods, or sex to satisfy us, then the Muladhara, which is the root chakra, is dysfunctioning and we are seriously disconnected from Earth. So the idea behind our root chakra being imbalanced and being blocked or out of whack is when our mental emotional state or the foods that we're eating or the activities that we're engaging in, like sitting too much or just the things that have happened in our past. And they even further share about an ancestor trauma, right? Things being passed on from generation. That will affect our root chakra. And in return, that will affect our ability to poop, right? Believe it or not, because those behaviors, those energetic blockages lead to habitual patterns and behaviors like overeating, over-consuming, gluttony, and just constantly filling yourself with something. And that will lead to constipation. So with this fear-mongering state of mind that everyone or the media was portraying, it has led most people to excessively stuff themselves to the point of constipation. Now, I poop every day, but during that time, I found myself, or the only constipation I really experience is not evacuating completely. And that's still considered a form of constipation, but I still poop every day. And the things that you want to be very cautious of is during times like this, the last thing you want to do is be constipated and overeat, because it's just going to mess with your mental state more, and that's not what you want. To get rid of constipation, to clear your constipation, you need to begin a detox, right? Because if you eat foods that inflame your intestines, inflame your microbiome, inflame your gut, that's going to cause your intestinal tract to swell, to inflame, and that will prevent your feces from moving properly. Or if you eat too much junk, too much garbage, that's going to prevent your intestines from moving properly, all right? So this video ended up going into a completely different, or it went all out of order. But basically, what I'm trying to share here is this. COVID-19 doesn't exactly cause constipation directly, as in you get the virus, you get constipated. No, it causes constipation indirectly through influence your mental emotional state, causing a lot of fear, and then that fear influences your behaviors to consume, because as they said, the compulsion to overeat or hoard material items and money is a negative expression of our instinct for survival. And in a state of not wanting to contract the disease or virus, that is a form of survival. And when people are experiencing it on a mass scale, then the whole world, the energetic vibration gets shifted, right? And now let's get into a little bit more of the esoteric, the energetic component of it, because I know some people might be interested. And that is about, the root chakra and how it gets imbalanced and what you can do to balance it out, okay? So this one I got from, I believe it was Spacious Therapy. I'll link it. But here we go. Root chakra connects us with the spiritual energies of our ancestors and our ancestors' challenges and triumphs. Since root chakra carries our ancestral memories, basically everyone experiences challenges or imbalances within the root chakra. War, famine, natural disasters, and any events that threaten our basic survival are all recorded within energies of the root chakra. These memories are imprinted in the subtle body, i.e. life energy, and are passed down from generation to generation, creating unconscious generational patterns, and it is our work to take responsibility for our lives and bring it to light, that which is unconscious or latent. So when your safety and survival is threatened, guys, or it constantly gets threatened from day to day, rest assured your root chakra will be out of balance. So basically what she mentioned was the root chakra, the first energy center that we are literally born into or gets constructed first when we get brought into this life, carries the memories within the cells, the trauma of our ancestors. And if you don't believe this, there is epigenetic studies, research studies, that show that certain people who've had PTSD or were traumatized in the past, their offsprings were more likely to have diabetes, obesity, alcoholism, addictions, and behaviors that were shown later in the generation, like the famine. There was one on the famine where they had a certain gene that was more susceptible to a certain behavior. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I remember reading research studies that confirmed what she was just saying, right? And to transform ourselves physically and spiritually, the root chakra is the first chakra, the first foundational chakra we need to focus on so that we can bring that energy up into the other centers of our body and have them all vibrating and circulating at the highest level. But if the root chakra is where we're stuck in, meaning our basic survival, our basic needs for safety, security, and survival are not being met, we're constantly fretting over whether or not we're safe. If we've been abused, sexually abused in the past as a child, we're constantly fretting over we're safe. That tenseness in our belly, that tightness in our gut, that is going to cause constipation. That is going to cause a sense of constriction because your body is in fight or flight mode, and people cannot evolve if they're focused on survival. So that is the premise behind root chakra, okay? And I'm going to read you a few more definitions and I'm going to wrap this video up because I don't want it to be so long, okay? So here's another description or a brief description of imbalanced chakra so that you have more awareness. And then finally, I'll discuss some of the things you can do to open up and balance your root chakra and to stop being constipated, okay? So a common imbalance of the root chakra, the Muladhara, right, is emotional stagnation or blockages, okay? And this chakra, when it's imbalanced, emits a energy frequency that resonates with feelings of fear that comes from disconnection from one's tribe, community, or family, or even from one's sense of self. Okay, the sense of abandonment or not belonging gives rise to feelings of frustration, rage, and blocked passion, emotional instability, self-indulgence, self-centeredness, insecurity, grief, loss, and depression. And there's also the opposite one where it's you have too open root chakra where you become overly aggressive, greedy, a workaholic, and you're constantly fixated and stuck on a certain way of being, okay? And then the physical imbalances that you might experience is sciatica, constipation, ovarian, uterine, prostate, and hemorrhoid conditions, and obesity, okay? And finally, the last quote that I want to share that is very powerful, that I believe kind of also pretty much wraps up and says the same thing that I've been sharing for the past 15 minutes, is this, okay? It's written by Judith Anodia, and it's from the Eastern Body, Western Mind, Psychology, and the Chakra System as a Path to the Self. She says this, very brief. Abandonment during the formative years often results in excessive first chakra, one that overcompensates by clinging to security, food, loved ones, or routines. Bam! Okay, so with all that being said, Know that root chakra is the first chakra. It's the base energy center in which each and every other energy center is founded upon, and most of the Western society is stuck or living from the first 2 to 3 chakras, meaning they're living from a lower level of consciousness. And if you're constantly stuck in survival mode, you cannot properly evolve and self-actualize, because you're constantly worried about, how can I make enough money? Am I safe around my family if I have a family? Or if I don't have a family, why am I abandoned? Where's my tribe? Do I have a tribe that I belong to? What do I need to do to feel safe and secure? How do I make money? All this is associated with the lower levels of chakra. And if you don't have these basic needs met, your body, your mind, and your spirit cannot evolve to the highest levels, okay? So how do you begin balancing out your mind, your body, your soul, your root chakra, and the rest of the chakras? Well, it first starts by developing your awareness, your consciousness on all of the activities, all the unconscious activities, and all the unconscious traumas that you have buried underneath the surface, right? What have you swept underneath the rug? What are the things that you are not dealing with, or the things that you know or is the cause, as in you've been traumatized in the past, you know that's a problem. So what do you do now? What action steps are you going to take to fix the mental emotional trauma that you have going on? And oftentimes a lot of this can be done through self-work, inner work. You can begin the process of meditating. So the things that I'm going to recommend that are going to be the most powerful in self-healing is, number 1, meditation. Number 2, movement, proper movement, getting the physical energy component of it actually moving. I created a video on how to cure your depression, right? How to literally stop being depressed. And I promise you, if yours is the general case of depression and something that's created, watch that video. It's probably gonna help you. And then so meditation, movement, food is definitely going to be one of them. They say to eat the color that resonates with that chakra, which is red. Right here, I have some fermented beet juice or fermented beets, and I drink the juice too. It has some good probiotics there. People use crystals, might be out there for some people, but certain crystals resonate and vibrate at a certain frequency. And when you hold it and meditate it with a long enough time, you will begin to adapt the frequency of the crystal. But here's the thing, I think crystals, essential oils, all these are supplements, literally supplements. The core foundation, the core essence that you'll get from healing your root chakra is going to be from doing that energetic work, inner work, energetic work in terms of movement and food. These are the most powerful ones to shift every level of emotion, every level of energy from root chakra all the way up and beyond, okay? So those 3 are gonna be the most powerful. And then from that point on, going into nature, taking your feet and your shoes off and grounding yourself in the grass, in the mountains, in the trees, in the forest, when you're hiking, just being in the nature, that is going to harmonize your body with the field, the electromagnetic field of nature, as opposed to the electromagnetic field of your phone, okay? So I believe that is all. There are certain things like binaural beats, music frequencies you can listen to, essential oils like cedarwood, patchouli, and myrrh, and things that you can do and listen to influence your mood. But again, the best way to influence your vibration, in my experience, in my opinion, is from the inside out. And you do that from the inner energetic work. You do that from the food that you ingest. And you do that from the radical movement that you do to get your body circulating with powerful juices and hormones. And that is it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. The best topic on COVID-19 and constipation in general. So you have a wonderful day and stay constipation free. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.